welcome. You're watching FYI. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Well, festival season is here, Diwali around the corner, all of us hungry for some bit of good news. So we thought we'll bring some good news to you in this episode of FYI. And all you job seekers out there, listen up very carefully because today's episode is for you. In fact, we're going to be telling you what exactly the biggest hiring industry right now, which is the startup world, looking for when they look for candidates. How are they thinking? What skills are required? How should you prepare yourself? What is it that you need to know? All of that put together in one episode. It doesn't get better than that. So let's dive into our explainer. First up, media and everybody else at this point is talking about how startups remain to be the most exciting venture as of this moment, the most exciting space, and also the ones which are hiring and how. Imagine this, 70 unicorns may create around 1.25 lakh to 1.6 lakh jobs. Unicorns ramping up their teams as well. 3/4 unicorns have hired as well 1.5 lakh executive levels. Fintech, tech, really leading the way over there, getting in lots of people. So there is scope for you if you are some of them who lost their job during the pandemic or just somebody who's getting started now. Or it's not just unicorns, it's soon to be unicorns as well, which are hiring. So what skills are required if you are looking for a job in a startup? Well, the bottom line to all of it is right attitude and outlook. Let's break it down for you. Now, focus when you're filling in your job application, sitting down for interview, focus on showing the right attitude. Don't focus on perks and benefits straight away. That's not the attitude of startups to begin with. They have a desire to grow. So you have to be hungry for a success story over there. And there has to be a lot of openness to learn. And then the word that has really gripped our generation, it is grit and resilience to overcome challenges. That's the bottom line of what all startups are looking at as of this moment. But while hiring, all these entrepreneurs as well, when you talk to them and in series of interviews that we've read, we've taken out a nutshell for you. They say that optimism is essential. Now, startups are rewarding but very hard, so prepare yourself accordingly. Entrepreneurial spirit, enough to keep your chin up through tough times. Well, if you work in television, you'll know all about that. You have to be fearless. You have to have adaptability, collaborativeness, trustworthiness, go-getter person, can-do attitude. All of this sounds really good and easy, but when it comes down to boots on ground, that's when you actually get a taste of it. So if you're looking at a startup job, these things are good to know and prepare yourself accordingly. Also, what is wanted in the startup world is adaptable, agile, flexible behavior as well. The ability to flex whenever is needed. Come to the table with an empty glass there and be curious to perform higher. That's one of the analogies often used over there. And a sense of urgency to get things done. This aggressive intent, but positive intent over there to try and get things going and urge to fare better as well. Now, all these are some of the basics, but looking for employees with similar values, and also some of the things that you must keep in mind is act like an owner. Well, not literally, but ownership to solve problems end to end. Nobody wants a person who will come to you only with problems, but be somebody who's solution oriented. And that is really the culture of common values and a sense of community as well. You have to believe in what you're doing and the problem you're trying to solve and the initiative that is going on. Strong problem solving ability is key. Self-awareness and growth mindset is also key. What is also important is intellectually being absolutely curious. So you can be a go-getter, you can be very aggressive, you can have a problem-solving attitude, but if you lack humility, empathy and curiosity, you're not going to crack it in the startup world. And not just for somebody who's wanting to have a startup, but for people who are applying for these jobs as well. 3 must-haves, to just put it all in one nutshell, is be humble, have qualities of strength and success, and not seen as overly sensitive or weak. Millennials, Gen Z, listening to what I said very, very carefully over there. All right. And also a different perspective, solid team solutions is something that they all are looking for. Right. So I've talked about some basics over here. What exactly are the CEOs, these young CEOs and startup people thinking, and what exactly are the problems that they're facing as well? How can we solve them? And thus, what can you take away from this if you are applying for that job? So we've got an excellent panel for you. Joining us today is Rajesh. He is a CEO of Innershare, founder of GSF Accelerator. Thanks so much for your time, Rajesh. Also with us is Angad Kikla, CEO of City Mall. Now, City Mall is a social e-commerce venture and aiming to help about 300 million new to internet users realize the power of the internet and e-commerce over there. And also with us is Mayank. Mayank is the co-founder of Koo. This is made in India, made for India, a social networking site and opinion maker as well. Well, welcome to FYI. Let's quickly begin by bringing in the first word to Rajesh. Some of the points, Rajesh, that I just spoke about, something very key, I believe, something is an absolute benchmark on or the baseline on how you start with it. But tell me some of the challenges that you guys are facing while hiring people right now.
So look, I think we are living through one of the most disruptive phase of work ever since probably industrial revolution. I think we're just breaking down this norm of office as it existed pre-COVID, with work from home, work from anywhere, hybrid work. I think these are the concepts that got accelerated with COVID, and I think they're very disruptive. They challenge the very basic nature of work. And along with that, there is a rise of gig economy. Both in the way the startups work, they seek gig workers, but also there is a huge class of workers today who just don't want to work 9 to 5 or 996 as Alibaba CEO said. They are mentally tuned to work in a very, very different sort of cultural fit. So that is one. The other thing is, I think there is a huge digital transformation that is happening across the world. And we will be and we are perennially short of tech talent. And I think that's the reality. And it's got coupled with this idea that salaries are now agnostic of locations. So earlier an engineer, if he worked in Silicon Valley, he probably made 200K. And if he worked in Bangalore, he made 20 lakhs. I think that concept is getting challenged. Now you could be sitting in Goa, working for Google or working for City Mall, one of our portfolio company, and making the same salary as you would make in a social delivery company in Prague or Budapest. So I'll give you an example. One of our portfolio company CEO I met 2-3 days back. He said, the way I am putting my company together is my development center is in Bangalore, my sales team is in US, my marketing and SEO team is in Manila, and my design team is in Prague. So this is the world, and yeah, it's one company, and this is how he's organized himself. And this is, he's not imagining, he's doing it right now. So I think what has happened is the CEOs, the young CEOs, especially the ones on the panel, have to rethink the kind of talent, the compensation structure, the motivational tool, the cultural norms that they need to build in their companies to attract talent to work with them.
Right.
So
those are good points over there on how to adapt. Well, adaptability has been one word that we have all lived with. Even in the way we ran television channels, for example, was huge, trying to understand how to broadcast from different locations, even to have you guys all online, which seems completely normal now. But who would believe this is just a one-year phenomena, right? So that's been the big learning over here. Mayank, but come in on this point while we look at, and one of the concerns that I have, and a lot of young people are now talking about it, is look at all the explainer graphics that I just did. There was about that you have to have the mojo to do it, you have to be aggressive, you have to be a go-getter. It just sounds too much. And at the same time, how are you then addressing mental health concerns of young India right now? And while, of course, there was a point there that we were thinking about while we put up the show as well on how you need to not appear to be weak. Well, on a different forum, I would be really trolled for saying that do not appear weak. It should be okay to be weak if you're feeling weak, right? But here I am talking to CEOs, and I really hope this is something that gets picked up as well. So give me your views on that first.
Yeah, your description in the beginning almost sounded superhuman, and I think you pretty much covered everything. I've been on both sides of the table where I've been a part of early startups, as a core team member and as an early creator of products. And then I've been an entrepreneur a few times. I just feel that the core lies in people having belief in what they're solving. If you have belief in what you're doing, you'll have ownership, you'll have hunger, you'll be fearless. It's your thing. So I think all these things follow once you have belief. I've seen a shift between like 10, 15 years back to now, where thanks to a lot of media attention, a lot of folks think that it's a get-rich-quick scheme. They're reading about people raising money, they're reading about entrepreneurs buying fancy houses, driving fancy cars, and ESOPs, buyouts, and how many millionaires got created by an ESOP buyout.
But
all the wrong reasons to be highlighted. It takes away the key reason why someone should even look at a startup. I think all these folks, if you look at the early days of early startups, people join startups in spite of things, not because of things. In spite of salary they would join. In spite of not having ESOPs, they'd be excited. And it's easy for entrepreneurs to find people like that because they write to you. These are not people you look out for on LinkedIn, but these are people who will read an article and say, hey, I read about you in the media. I think this is really exciting. I'd love to be a part of your team, even if it means I have to take a cut. So I think fearlessness will also come out of some deep belief in what you're saying.
Mayank, what you're saying sort of comes into this entire realm of ikigai, right? Like do something that you believe in, solving a problem, something for the world, satisfies you, has financial benefits as well, all of that. But do you have enough people like that? I just want to get a quick reality check. Angat, do you want to weigh in on this? Are you, the talent that is out there, is it enough right now?
Sure. So Sonal, thank you for having me on the panel. I sort of fully, agree with what Rajesh and Mayank have just sort of laid out as a framework to think. What we are observing is that the demand-supply gap differs from function to function. It's a war for tech talent right now. While there are other functions where finding talent is relatively easier. But what we've seen work out pretty well for us, at least, Sonal, is to state the value proposition to the candidate world very, very clearly. It's a fundamental belief that the team that has the best talent is going to win, and everything else will fall into place. So thinking about talent as your customers tends to give a lot of clarity on what we want to do with respect to talent. For us, it's clearly stating why a startup like City Mall makes sense for them and why it does not make sense for them. So in all our panels, we actually share our point of view on why should you not join City Mall, or what are the reasons why you should not join City Mall. We have a filter around the fact that so to make these reasons much more clearer. The second thing that's extremely important, Sonal, is stating the value system and culture very, very clearly upfront. For example, as a team, we stand for agility. That's the only thing that a startup like ours has against the big companies. So to state that agility is that one important factor for us to sort of do well in City Mall is extremely important. So thinking about talent like a customer base and stating your value proposition clearly to them helps a lot.
Right, those are good tips over there. I'm going to slip into a break now. When we come back on the other side, I'm going to ask the panel to give us some tips if your dream talent, your dream team is watching you right now, what is it that you want to tell them as of this moment, and what is it that they should be expecting as well? That's coming up on the other side of this very short break. You're watching FYI. Welcome back. Last 3 minutes on the show, so let's quickly take a minute each closing comment from our panel. We'll go around. First up, Rajesh.
Yeah, so look, I end up doing a lot of interviews for various portfolio companies for board positions to entry-level positions. And if I were to put myself in the shoes of person I'm interviewing, I would think of three things. I would think, would I get a nurturing boss? I think the boss is your anchor in any organization and he matters the most. You should do research on that. Would I get a supporting environment? What is the culture of the place? How does the company think and nurture its employees? So I'll do some research on that. And finally, you want to be in a fast growth company and therefore enjoy the benefits that come with it. And there are two primary benefits. One is learning and the second is career growth. And along with that, wealth creation. And I think these are legitimate objectives of a rationally thinking employee in today's context.
Absolutely.
So these are the three things I would
Absolutely. Let me go to Mayank next. Mayank, because this is Gen Z that you're talking about, their priorities are very different from, say, what we've seen earlier on in employees as well. How are you keeping them motivated?
I think that it goes back to what I had said earlier, right? You need to tell them why you're solving a particular problem. In our case, 20% of the world does not speak English. A lot of the social media products that people use have been created by Americans or Chinese, assuming that a good part of the world speaks their language. When you look at India, 90% of the folks don't speak English. So this is the right time to create something that caters to a much broader audience and also create products from India for the world. Till now, we've been using products others created for us. It's the right time to prove everyone wrong who thinks that Indians can't create for a global audience.
Yeah, and you've got the Prime Minister as a cheerleader saying become Atmanirbhar. So this is a good time for you guys. Angad, closing comments, 1 minute.
Yeah, so, quick point from our side, Sonal. I mean, if there is one thing that we would ask the candidates to be is to, clearly state who you are. Startups give you luxury to sort of clearly state who you are, what you value, and also ask the startup or the interviewer on what the startup is all about. So the more honest you are, more clearly stated you are, there's a better match. So ultimately it's a match and it's not a one-way sort of.
I'm very glad you said that, and because all of you have given us such great tips, let me give some feedback that I've got online, and this is for all you people hiring. This is a gentleman called Nayan Bhattacharya. He says, I work in a startup from the last 2 years, and believe me, if you have a good leader who keeps you motivated, who supports you all the time, appreciates your hard work, it is automatically motivating, and I haven't faced a single issue. And I love my boss, such as being this really amazing, supportive personality. It is always a two-way communication. Well, definitely if your boss is listening, he's going to be very pleased. But for the rest of you, take a cue. That's it from FYI. See you again next time. Bye-bye.